gentlemen, Damian Nelson of the Pro Wrestling Report here with yet another legend. A legend, a man who everybody knows, the father, if you will, right now, of one of the top stars in WWE. But that's not what it's about. It's about the Cowboy.
Hey,
Cowboy Bob Orton here on the Pro Wrestling Report. Welcome to the world-famous Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Hey, thank you very much. I've been here many, many times. We used to wrestle right next door.
At the Mecca Arena, yes. A beautiful place.
Years ago with Vern Gagne, and then they moved into the Bradley Center.
And let's talk a little bit about that. You got your start, obviously, with Vern Gagne, or you got big, obviously, with Vern Gagne and the AWA. Spent a lot of time here in Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Las Vegas. Talk to us a little bit about how that all came to be.
Well, I like the Midwest, always have. I live in the Midwest, and love the snow.
You don't hear that often.
The cold weather, oh God, yes, I love it so much. Matter of fact, when we moved to St. Louis, Missouri, I wanted to move to Tampa, Florida, where I grew up. But my wife is from St. Louis.
Oh yeah,
that's where I live.
And people say, you know, you can't take the winter out of the Midwesterners. They never want to move. It's either to Phoenix when they're really old or never.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point there.
Yeah.
St. Louis is a huge wrestling town.
Very big in wrestling. Sam Muchnick was the promoter down there for years and years and years, and St. Louis has always been one of the best towns in the country.
Indeed. Everybody remembers it. Whether it be WrestleMania, the original WrestleMania, WrestleMania 2, which you were heavily involved in both, the cast.
I'm telling you, this cold weather, still bothers me.
Well, we have some of the best medical facilities in the world here in Wisconsin. They can put on a very hard cast, if you know what I mean.
Good.
Again, very legendary. You had an amazing career. We saw you spend a lot of time with Roddy Piper, obviously. How was it traveling with such a wild cat, if you will?
It's the most fun I ever had in my life. He's a continual laugh. The guy's just great to travel with. He called me just the other day. I think he's getting ready to do some kind of reality show.
That's a shocking thing.
And asked me if I wanted to help him. I said, sure, anytime. Well, I'll come in. But Roddy's doing great.
Good.
Great. It's nice to talk to him. I talked to him over 2 or 3 months.
Excellent. And we saw just a little while ago, a couple of years ago, you inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. How was it to get that call and say, Bob, we're inducting you into the Hall of Fame, come on out? How did it feel to finally be honored in a public forum for all your contributions to the business?
Well, you know, it was great. They took me totally by surprise. I didn't think I was old enough. But no, it was probably the greatest moment in my wrestling career to be acknowledged for what you have accomplished over your years. And it was great, and especially to go in with the guys that went in. Everybody was in WrestleMania 1. Yeah. And the Sheik, you know, just to see the Sheik and be around the Sheik again, and then Roddy, of course, and Bobby Heenan was there. I think he inducted some, but no, it was great to go and see the guy. You know, some of the older guys I hadn't seen in a while, and then for the award itself, you know, great. It was just great. But now, being a legend, bona fide legend, I always got to kind of watch the kid, you know.
Yeah. The kid, ladies.
The legend killer, you know.
Right.
If I ever see him in a camera, I really am, you know, on my toes.
And let's talk about the kid, if you will. I believe he inducted you into the Hall of Fame,
yes,
and did the induction. That had to be just a very pleasurable moment. We see Randy Orton, a man who, you know, by all accounts has been a top star in WWE since the moment he got there. We still think back to the status reports of his shoulder injury after he first came in, that unfortunate injury. And obviously, Randy Orton couldn't be as great as he is, because I would liken him to greatness at this point. He is great at what he does, and obviously running with the WWE Championship for as long as he has, really showing where he is in the business. But obviously, you had a lot to do with that. How did the decision come about to let your son, the kid, if you will, get into the business?
Well, like myself, I took Randy to the matches when he was, you know, young, and he just, you know, really enjoyed going, and probably like me watching my dad, you know, it was something I wanted to do from the time that, you know, I was maybe 10, 12 years old. Yeah. And Randy started wrestling when he was 9, and was a very accomplished amateur, and he just, you know, rolled into, I think, kind of the same way I did. Just all of a sudden, you know, you get out of school, well, hey, I'm going to wrestle. And from his upbringing, being around the business, meeting a lot of the great stars when he was this little kid, he just, like it was natural for him to do that. And from what he has accomplished so far, I would say he's going to be one of the best. And might be one of the best now.
There is no doubt. What advice do you have for, there's a lot of people out there watching all over the world who want to get into the business. Obviously, you've been in the business. You've been in the hotbed of professional wrestling. Your son's in the business. We see generations go there. What recommendation do you have? Obviously, people can go to schools, but what really should they focus on if they want to get into the business? Not just WWE, TNA, or whatever it may be, just into the business.
Well, you've got to educate yourself, stay in shape, stay away from the drugs. Have a beer or two if you want to, but
just two, Bob?
Basically, you know, it's something. I mean, it's not like it's something you just do. I mean, you've got to work very, very hard. Randy works out probably 2 or 3 hours a day doing something. You know, whether it's just calisthenics or the cardio or something.
Right.
It's not an easy life.
Right.
And you've got all the travel and it's not an easy business. When you watch for 2 hours a week, you know, when that show comes on TV, that's not all it's about.
Right.
So you know, it's a lot of hard work, but if it's something you really want to do, you've got to go at it, you know, 100%. If you do, more power to you.
Yeah.
But it's not something you can just walk up and say, hey, I can do this. A lot of people say a lot of things about wrestling. When I hear that kind of thing, it's very simple. They've never tried it.
Yeah. And you know, we get into the argument or the conversations about, you know, is professional wrestling a sport per se? And what most people can really always appreciate is the men in the ring, the performers, the athletes are indeed that they are athletes.
Oh, sure.
And NBA, Major League Baseball, whatever the other sport may be, I think there'd be a lot of challenge by professional wrestling to do or to be able to be compared to them, because I think you work harder for longer each year being a professional wrestler.
Yeah, plus they've got to be able to act, and they've got to be able to do this and that. You know, they've got to be well-rounded.
The demands are many.
Yes, the demands are many, but once you can conquer those demands and you feel comfortable with everything, then boom, you know, you're a star.
Yeah.
And then my advice then is save your money.
And a true star you are, Mr. Orton. And I'm not just saying that because you're sitting here. Again, having been a fan as long as I've been lucky to be, and now sitting next to a legend like you is pretty awe-inspiring. So thank you very much for all you've contributed to the business. And thank you for being part of our show here on our 10-year anniversary as we're rolling into. Which
my pleasure.
It's a long time, especially sitting at Meathead because he's obnoxious. But thank you very much and welcome to Milwaukee. It's great to see you, and we'll hope to see you again soon right here on the Pro Wrestling Report. Cowboy Bob Orton, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.